So the concept of Qiraat is a little bit different. But why am I discussing all this thing in the first place? How is it relevant to you in the first place? The whole idea here is that, this can happen sometimes. Like as I said, 95% of the Muslims recite one way, in one harf, in one qira. It might happen somebody from probably North Africa, where they have probably different recitation or different harf. They come here and recite. We might end up fighting with him. Quran is so precious to us, and somebody is leading the salah like that, and it sounds very strange. Then that fights might happen in the masjid. So I want to give a small picture here that there are some variations which are tolerated as long as it conforms to the mushaf of Uthman radiallahu anhu. So we should, whenever we hear something strange recitation, we have to ask, where did you get the recitation from? If he says, I just made it my own because I think that is better, then we have a problem with that. But if he says, okay, this recitation goes back to the recitation of Prophet Muhammad, then we said, okay, we accept it. Even though it's like very new to us, I have some audio clips, and you will see that it's completely different. We don't really hear that very often, inshallah. And but before that, we don't need to know all this different ahruf. One harf is important for us. We should know, and that's what we all learn and all read. We don't need to know all those details, but when we are reading salah, we cannot mix and match the ahruf. We have to stick to one. We can change in the other salah, but within one salah we cannot. So qiraat is a little bit different. What is qiraat? Qiraat, it basically means the recitation of the Quran itself. Within one harf we can have multiple recitations. So all the 7 ahruf will have their own recitations. So it's like, so there can be many possible recitations, right? Because of the 7 ahruf. And even the one recitation that we all read here, even that has a lot of recitations. And I have examples for that one as well. But important thing here to note is that these recitations came again from the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. It didn't come up from people. They didn't say, okay, I like it this way, so I will recite it this way. So it is a way of reciting Quran. That's what Qiraat is all about. It's a way of reciting. If people are differing, then we have to ask, how did you come up with that recitation? Right? So this concept, there is one concept called ijaza in our Sharia, where what we do is, whenever we recite something, for example in the field of recitation, we have to get permission, license from a scholar, that okay, you are certified now, you can recite. When you get that permission, you can teach other people, you can recite your own, you lead salah and stick to that. But if you don't have ijaza, you cannot come up with your own, you cannot interpret the way you like, you have to stick to it. So that's how the tradition has been going on, and that's why whenever you see all these great qurra in their houses, they will have like a big frame. They will mention me and my teacher and his teacher, and they'll make a huge list, and maybe like 30-35 chain down at the end. Who is going to be there? What's the last one? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, right? The chain has to reach there. Actually, they also have at the end Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because that's how it started, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives to Jibreel as-salam, Jibreel as-salam gives to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu. So that's, everybody has that silsila, that chain. And how do these qiraat differ from each other? They have different tajweed rules, they have different way of pronouncing, they have different way, sometimes there are different words even. That's like really strange for some people, but there are some different words. Examples coming next slide. And how many do we have such qiraats? So actually, if I said before, this 7 ahruf we can have lots and lots of qiraat based on that, but we have preserved 10 qiraat. Till now we have 10 qiraat available. These are called authentic qiraat. So even if you see some scholars, they're like doing their studies in Medina University, for example, they have this college of Quranic studies, and they give this degree. In order to get the degree, you have to get ijaza in all the 10 qirats. You have to know that. And then they give you that certificate. Actually, they have 14. 10 is the authentic qiraat, and the other 4, they're called the shad qiraat. They are used for tafsir, but these are the 10 qirats that you can use to recite in the salah, in the prayer. The other 4 you cannot use, but it is used in some other way for tafsir maybe. So the 10, these 10 authentic qiraat refer back to the 10 famous qari at that time, whenever they started. And each qari had probably 2 rawi, 2 students basically. And rawi had maybe multiple tariqa that we say. So they have this chain. So his student continues it. So whenever you see somebody reciting it, they'll say tariqa of this and rawi of this, and the main qari is this one. So which qari do we all follow? Hafs is rawi. Who is the qari? Asim. Here's the list. It's too small for you, is it? These are the 10 qaris. And in the hyphen I have his students, the rawis. Can you see it? Is it clear? Its first one is Asim. His student Hafs and Asim. He was that became the most famous recitation of all times. 95% throughout the world. So that's the one that we use. And he was actually Asim, he lived during the early time, maybe in the 2nd Hijri year, 120, 130 Hijri year. He died that way, that particular time. And he was actually stepson of Asim, Hafs. He was very famous, and he learned everything from him. He had other student also, Shuba and Asim. That is not that famous. But Hafs, he had many other students, and many other tariq came out. So that's why we hear a lot of different recitations even in Hafs. And other famous recitations are like Nafi', Warsh and Nafi'. That is like 3%. Where is this common? This is common in North Africa, Algeria, Morocco, Tunisia, all that places. That is where this is common, and they have it actually different mushaf even. It doesn't look like us, as I showed you in the last time. They have this Al-Maghribi script, They have the fa as at the bottom, and qaf, the one dot in the top. So they have a little different, and even not just the spelling, the actual harf, the actual recitation, they do it differently. You will see. And Qalun is also very common. The Qalun and Nafi', this country, which country is in news these days? Libya. If you go there, that's what they recite. Qalun and Nafi'. Different from ours, Hafs and Asim. Ibn Amir, that is also, it's in Yemen, so south of Arabia. That's where they recite it. So these people, when they come here and lead the salah, will feel a little strange. You'll feel a little different. Even the surahs like Sabbih Isma Rabbikal A'la, they say Sabbih Isma Rabbikal A'la. So we have some examples, but it's completely different. We'll feel a little different when they recite. But again, all these different reciters, where did they get it from? From the mouth of Prophet Muhammad. He recited that way because he wanted to make it easier for the people. So these recitations are preserved. So you can check it. That there are lots of recitation here. Like it's mentioned here, Abdul Rashid al-Sufi bi riwaya Khalf an Hamza. This is the one. So whenever somebody recites, they will mention this chain. I follow this tariq, this rawi, and this qari. So how do these recitations differ? How do these harf differ? Many ways. First of all, most important thing, the tajweed rules are different. So where to stop and where to pause, that rules is different. Where to make, some of the rules are pretty standard. Where to do ghunna, where to do qalqala, those basic rules are there. But some way of recitation, that is different. And sometimes the pronunciation is different. Like in English, we have differences too, right? Like, who can give me an example in English? Like Schedule. Here we call in America what? Schedule, right? If you go to UK, what do they say? They say schedule. Schedule. And sometimes they, like the way we write, for example, color, right? Color. We write COLOR. The British write it differently. They write COLOUR. So those kind of differences. Now you see the languages, it's the same English language, but the difference happen. Same thing is with the Quran as well. The spellings sometimes become different based on the different Arab tribes. And sometimes tashkil, and as I said before, one reason was that to make it easy for the Arab people, right? That's why this ahruf happened. But the other reason was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give like an additional meaning, so he changed sometimes the word in certain verse. He added a new word or he substituted with other ones. So tashkil might be like fatha in some cases and kasra in some cases. We have that difference even preserved today. And sometimes a new word would be added, sometimes a new letter would be replaced or added. So we will see examples. And when quickly going over this, sometimes when you have such a difference, the meaning changes. It's not like 180-degree opposite meaning change, but it gives like an additional meaning. Like for example, we will see Malik Yawmiddin and Malik Yawmiddin. It's not the same meaning. One, it means owner, the other means it's king. Kind of a little bit similarity, but there is a difference. And sometimes meaning doesn't change, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed it differently, probably because to make the easier for the Arab tribes. But all the differences that we have saved till now, all of them are saved in the Uthman's Mus'haf, the copy that was originally made by Uthman. All these changes emerged from him. And sometimes, like you remember, he didn't have any dots in his Mus'haf, right? He didn't have any fatha, kasra. But people say that he purposely didn't add it because he wanted to preserve all these different ahruf. Because if he made the tashkil and nuqat and everything, then it will be stick to one harf. So he didn't put it so that these variations can happen. But they knew exactly which one is allowed and which one is not based on the recitation that Sahaba used to do. And so we will see examples. We covered this. Some of the ahruf are preserved through various qiraat. So there is difference here. One harf can have different qiraat. So all these 7 ahruf can have, right now it's 10, maybe 14 is also possible, and there might be some qiraat where we don't know. It is not preserved. Probably because the same reason, we know hadith, sometimes we hear this, something called dhaif hadith, right? Dhaif hadith doesn't mean that it is a wrong hadith or it is a bad hadith or it's not from Prophet Muhammad. It's just that we cannot guarantee that this came from Prophet Muhammad. Basically means that there is a chance that it might have had come from Prophet Muhammad, but the chain is kind of weak. It is not reliable enough, so we can't say for sure. So similarly, same thing happened to the recitation of Quran itself. Some people said that, oh, I have a recitation from Prophet Muhammad, but when we check his chain, there were like some unreliable people, they were there, so we rejected those recitations. We don't have it preserved until this day.